you write, and obviously your work is about healing collective trauma, and you write about shifting collective paradigms and unlearning cultural conditioning. Like, how do we do that? How do we heal collective trauma?
So another prompt that you said in the very first moments of our conversation was path of energy. So this is another thing. I mean, path of energy, it's not a creative combination of words. However, it's another thing that I try to make up as a term in order to point towards something that I want to be clear about. It's the path of energy versus path of words versus path of form, of content, or of meaning. I could say it's the path of energy versus path of mind. So when we are talking about collective trauma, we are doing just that. We are talking about collective trauma. Let me show the difference between talking about collective trauma and in the path of energy being connected to the collective trauma. So talking is me talking like right now. Path of energy would be, for example, I stand up, I close my eyes, and I connect to a field of trauma that's maybe trapped in my cells, maybe triggered. Maybe my grandmother experienced World War II and has told me something recently about that. It would be taking a break from words, taking a break from the story, and trying to shiver in the same dark night when the bombs came down. And as you say, there is no difference between there is a difference, but that's not the point. The path of energy is, okay, somebody has been abused, somebody has been slaughtered. There is a trauma which needs to tremble in order to be released. It's just the whole body trembling, the whole body shaking, what we see in wild animals when they recover from traumatic situations. We see that in humans when they feel safe enough. We see that. That's my work, translating that to the big scale and making all of us be connected in shaking events. Let's gather on the street, let's gather via Zoom, let's gather, no problem, social distancing, no problem. We connect to topics and tremble and shiver all together as if it would have happened to me. Mm-hmm. So this is what I consider to be way more powerful in terms of collective trauma healing than talking about it or being clear about that. Because in that moment, Christian, you have one problem. You are doing an awesome online summit, and you are reaching people who are responding to what you are putting out there. You are reaching people who are incredibly educated, awake, have free time, have a computer, have some kind of level of education, and had enough food in order to be interested in saving the world.
Right, and enough time to be listening to this and watching this.
And having learned your language.
Right.
So many, many, many privileges. And then by accident, finding this, Facebook ad. So you have the problem. You have to reach the critical mass of people in order to make the critical mass of understanding clear, and the critical, etc., etc., etc. And then after a while, more than 50% of all people say, hey guys, we need to go into another direction globally, and then it works. If you fail, and it's a small summit, you have a problem. Path of energy is about shifting the critical mass of trauma energy. And I think that's another paradigm. I think, Christian, if a few people really dive into what is hidden in the own cells, it's like the power of the nuclear weapon going for peace, going for collective trauma healing. I think very few people really diving through death, not running from the slaughterhouse, not running from animal testing, not running from rape, not running from these horrific places of execution and torture and abused children. When we are really not running from the own fear of death inside, so not leaving each other alone, in those terms, becoming immortal by dying the mystical death of somebody like it's like a shamanic work, then a few people can shift the critical mass. And we will wake up tomorrow in a world with less and less trauma being passed on to the next generation without having to tell people, without having to make them busy with another problem. They are busy with making ends meet, and they are doing a brave job. And they do not have the privilege or the whatever in order to attend the online summit. And they don't have to, because there are fields of energy that are just washing, like traveling across the bridge. It's like me showing the energy the way back to trembling. So it's offering a safe space for those frozen fields that we have been passing on to each other for, I think, the course of the last 4,000 to 6,000 years. And the more we do that, the less we will show up as bad people, because we are not. We are humans. We are awesome.
Yeah, yeah.